Alright, so every time someone's trying to for example, an animal trying to hunt, it sneaks up on its prey and makes no noise, and then all of a sudden it attacks. Well, in this case, it relates to my quote because here it says, "People who make no noise are dangerous." So, I agree with this quote because when someone's not saying something in class and they're just standing in a corner and just minding their own business, usually you don't know what they're thinking. You're like, oh, I know this person. He's really cool. He's speaks out. He's outgoing, but you never know what that person sitting in the back corner is thinking. These days, I'm not saying all of them are dangerous, but these days I've seen for example, the shootings at school. There's been witnesses oh, I knew this kid. He was a quiet kid. He wouldn't say much, but he was nice when we would talk to him. But he wouldn't be expressing his feelings. Holds everything in and doesn't express what he wants to say to the people, and just keeps things to himself. And when you keep things to yourself, it usually holds all your anger or what you feel about things in you, and once you let it all out, it's sometimes dangerous because you're letting all your emotions out at the same time, and that doesn't tend to be good. This quote by Marvel made me think of how these quiet people could be very dangerous, but at the same time you never know what they're gonna do. So as a conclusion, I do agree with this quote by Marvel saying that people who make no noise are dangerous. Thank you.
All right, the prey-predator analogy that you have at the beginning I thought was a pretty effective way of getting our attention and leading us into the topic. There's a pretty solid transition there. You also have a good way of expressing what your point of view is, and it's clear at the beginning. What you don't have is much more content beyond the one example that you're thinking of, and I think, where are you? There you go. That I think is a little bit problematic, that you sometimes just you focus in on that one thing and you haven't got any other place to go with that material. I do like a couple of things that you do. For instance, when you're speaking, there's some nice descriptive gestures that you're doing, like when you're talking about holding things in, and you kind of actually pull your arms back and your elbows in and your hands in, like you're keeping everything together, and you do that kind of thing a couple of times. And I think that makes it a little bit more vivid, and certainly suggests that you're more engaged and connected with the material that you're talking about than if you're just standing there saying it. So I thought that worked well. There's nothing that I think is particularly problematic when it comes to presentation. Your voice is fine. It's relatively fluent. Your eye contact is generally solid. Like I said, I like the gestures that you had there. Your posture seems relatively confident. At the end, I think you do the right thing, kind of going back to the quote, reminding us of the point that you're trying to make. That's fine. Like I said, it's the content issues that I think are a little bit problematic. You don't really develop anything past the one example. There's no organizational structure, and so you don't get much chance to develop the presentation and show us all of your skills, but you did make a good impression with the one example that you had. All right, thank you.